The Houston Astros beat the Atlanta Braves tonight in Game 5 of the World Series to force a Game 6. The Dallas Cowboys came out on top of the Minnesota Vikings, and we had a huge upset in the NFL that had the entire NFL nation talking. The championship four for the NASCAR Cup playoff series has now been determined as they go to the championship weekend in Phoenix. And in the world of college football, it was a crazy weekend, and a weekend that will have a lot of people talking, and everybody up in East Lansing, Michigan is going to be in a very pleasant mood. I will have all of that tonight, and I'll talk a little bit more in depth about college football and what I should expect for the World Series for Game 6 on Tuesday. Tonight, right here on the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Wrap-Up Show.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
And a pleasant hello there, everybody. I am so glad to have you with me here tonight for the YouTube Sports Weekend Wrap-Up Show. We're going to go right into it right away. The Houston Astros tonight beat the Atlanta Braves 9-5 in Game 5 of the World Series. The Braves still lead the series 3-2 as we head back to Houston on Tuesday. Now, despite the fact that Adam Duvall hit a grand slam and Freddie Freeman had a solo home run, it was not anywhere near enough. The Astros came out on top in a big way. Carlos Correa, 3 for 5 with a run, a double, and 2 RBIs. Yuli Gurriel, 3 for 5 with 2 runs and RBI, but he did strike out once. Martin Maldonado, 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs, a walk, and a strikeout. Alex Bregman, 1 for 4 with a run, a double, an RBI, and he had a walk. Kyle Tucker had a good night for him. Despite he went 1 for 3 with 2 runs, a double, and he did have 2 walks. Farmer Valdez got a no decision tonight. He pitched 2 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 5 earned runs. He had 2 walks. He struck out 1, and he gave up 2 home runs, the grand slam and the solo shot. Jose Urquidy gets the win tonight. Despite the fact he only pitched an inning and gave up a hit. Now all the Astros needed. The Astros did a lot of damage tonight. Now, Freddie Freeman and Adam Duvall, I've already talked about them. But the loss tonight goes to A.J. Minter. On a night where the Braves decided to go the route of a bullpen game, it kind of backfired. Minter gets the loss. He pitched an inning, gave up 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and he struck out 2. Minter had been so hot in this World Series until tonight. So the question is, what will happen in Game 6 on Tuesday? I do not have any of the information for starters for Game 6 on Tuesday. I do not have that information. Everybody was thinking that the Braves were going to put it away tonight. It didn't happen. And this is the first home loss for the Braves in this postseason. But Game 6 will be in Houston. Can the Braves fire back? Can the Braves respond back? We'll wait and see, but I got a good feeling they will. Think about the Braves. They took the opener in Houston. Can they come back? Can they go back on the road, back to Minute Maid Park, and put it away? That remains to be seen. A big win tonight for the Astros, but they're not out of the woods by any stretch of the mean as of yet. Keep in mind, the Astros took 1. They had to take 1 in Atlanta, and they got it. Now they got to win the next 2 at home to be world champs. And can Dusty Baker finally get the disappointment of not winning a World Series ring as a manager Can he get that monkey off his back? We'll have to wait and see. Baker is 8-10 in the World Series. Remember that. Going into Game 6. Bottom line. All right. Game 5 of the World Series is in the books, and I've got you ready for Game 6 just about. But there was a game on NFL Sunday Night Football on the Sunday night. The Dallas Cowboys beat the Minnesota Vikings tonight 20-16. Cooper Rush, starting in place of the injured Dak Prescott, had a pretty good night. He was 24 for 40 and over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he did have an interception. I forgot to write that information down. My bad. Amari Cooper, 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches for 112 yards. A nice night for him. Cedric Wilson, he may have only had 3 catches for 84 yards, and he had a touchdown. Now, the Cowboys only had 1 sack in the game. But I want to give some love to Micah Parsons from Penn State. He had 4 tackles for loss in the game. That's what helped the Cowboys beat the Vikings. And as far as the Minnesota Vikings go, Kirk Cousins, he was 23 of 35 for 184 yards and a touchdown. Adam Thielen, 6 catches, 78 yards and a touchdown. Eric Hendricks, I want to give some love to the defense. Eric Hendricks, he had 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss in the game. And Everson Griffin, he also had 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss himself in the Vikings loss tonight. The Cowboys have gone 6-1. Tonight, they did it without Dak Prescott. That was the most important thing. And that's the truth of the matter. It was a big win for the Cowboys. And as we get into we are now officially into November. It is now 12:30 in the morning in the eastern part of the United States. A big win tonight for the Cowboys. They had to come from behind to do it. Don't forget that either. All right. Let's move on to the other one. There's 2 more games I want to talk about. The first one is the Pittsburgh Steelers sadly beat the Cleveland Browns today, 15-10. Ben Roethlisberger, the last time we saw Roethlisberger facing Cleveland was in Pittsburgh in the wild card round in the playoffs. He was contemplating retirement at that time. Now, it gets very interesting. Ben Roethlisberger today in the Pittsburgh's victory over Cleveland, he was 22 of 34 for 266 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris, a big day for him. 26 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Pat Freiermuth, 4 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. But the Pittsburgh sack machine, TJ Watt, was open for business. 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss on the Sunday. And Chris Wormley, give him some love. 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. As far as the Cleveland Browns go, it was a little bit of a disappointing day. Baker Mayfield, he was 20 of 31 for 225 yards and a touchdown. Dearness Johnson, 4 carries, 22 yards and a touchdown. That was it for him. But I do want to give some love to Myles Garrett. 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. And Malik Mudwell, 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss on the Sunday afternoon. You know, the one thing that surprised me in this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers had more penalties than the Browns did. Yay! I shouldn't sound like that, but I had to do it. The Browns only had 19 first downs. They had 306 yards total offense. They were 3 for 10 on 3rd down. The Steeler defense came ready to play, everybody. And that's all there was to it. Everybody knew it. You know it. I know it. And everybody and everybody's cousin knows it. And speaking of, my Uncle Joe and my cousin Kelly were at that game. I know they're probably already back from Cleveland in disappointment. A great win for the Steelers and a disappointing loss for the Browns. The Browns are now back to 500, and the Steelers just got back to 500 themselves. If it makes Browns fans feel any better, it was a disappointing day in Cleveland. I know I've gotten used to it, being a Browns fan. All right. Now, the game that I want to talk about that's going to have everybody all over the NFL world talking, all over the sports world talking, was the fact that the New York Jets beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, I'll repeat it again. The New York Jets beat the Cincinnati Bengals today, 34-31. Mike White's first career start, starting in injured for the place of the injured Zach Wilson, had a tremendous game. 37 of 45, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Michael Carter on this day, 15 carries, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Ty Johnson, 5 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. But I want to give some love to the defense as usual. Sheldon Rankins, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. And Quinnen Williams of the Jets, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. As for the Cincinnati Bengals, it was an up and down day, mostly down. Joe Burrow, 21 of 34, 259 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception on the day. Joe Mixon, 14 carries, 33 yards, and a touchdown. He also had 4 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown through the air. Tyler Boyd, 5 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 3 catches, 32 yards, and a touchdown of his own. Tyler Hendrickson and Larry Onkajabi both had 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss on this day. The Jets won this game despite the fact they had 3 turnovers, and they were penalized 8 times for 46 yards. But the Jets had the ball for over 36 minutes, 32 first downs, and they had 511 yards total offense on the day. As for the Cincinnati Bengals, they couldn't get anything going. 18 first downs and 318 yards total offense. They only had the ball for about 24 minutes. And that was it. The Jets beating the Bengals was the story of the day. I don't care what everybody else says. But when the Bengals lose to a team like the New York Jets and a quarterback this week in his first career start, and he throws for over 400 yards, really? That's what happened on this day. I have never seen a Bengals team not play good at all. And that's all there was to it. And that's the bottom line. Because Big Scott said so. And I'm going to be honest with you. If the Bengals lose to the Jets, how will they do like teams like against the Browns, the Steelers, the Ravens? That remains to be seen. And that's the bottom line. All right. That was your NFL talk and your NFL games and this wrap-up show on this Sunday night. Let's move on to the world of NASCAR. The NASCAR Cup Series today was at Martinsville for a 500-lap battle for a 500-lap short-track tempered battle royal, and it lived up to the hype. Alex Bowman came home the winner. He got knocked out earlier, and he did not make the championship chase. Kyle Busch finished second. He's out of the championship battle. Brad Keselowski came home third. He's out of the battle. Martin Truex Jr. finished fourth. William Byron, he's out of the battle. He finished fifth. Eric Almirola finished sixth. Kurt Busch seventh, Eric Jones eighth. Chris Buescher ninth. Joey Logano is 10th. The championship four in Phoenix next Sunday is officially set. It will be Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin going for the crown. And it's very simple. Whoever finishes the highest will win the championship. It's that simple. And I'll tell you what. There's a lot of people are saying Kyle Larson's got this wrapped up. He's won 9 races. It doesn't matter how many races you win. Think back to 1985. Bill Elliott won 11 races. He finished second in the championship battle to Darrell Waltrip. In 1996, Jeff Gordon won a bunch of races. He finished second to Terry Labonte in the final championship standings. It doesn't matter how many races you win in a season. What ultimately counts at the end of the day is, do you finish the highest at Phoenix to win the championship? We'll have to wait and see on that one. And that's the bottom line. Martinsville, the final race of the season, will be Sunday at 3:30 from Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix is going to decide the championship. Who wins it? We don't know. But I will say this for sure. We saw some short track tempers at Martinsville today. We saw Alex Bowman wreck Denny Hamlin with just a few laps to go. And then after the checker flag, I saw Brad Keselowski wreck Kyle Busch. And there were some words exchanged between all parties involved. I'm sure it has been resolved, but there's going to be some fines and some suspensions that come out of this. But the main thing you need to know, the championship battle goes to Phoenix this next Sunday. Get ready. 4 drivers vying for the crown. There's going to be some fireworks in Phoenix. Get ready. Okay, let's move on to the world of college football. What a weekend we had. Number 5 Ohio State beat number 20 Penn State 33-24 on Saturday night. And it was a big day. C.J. Stroud, 22 of 34 for 305 yards and a touchdown. Travion Henderson, a big night for him. If it weren't for some of those blowout wins, he'd have bigger numbers. But 26 carries, 152 yards and a touchdown. Chris Olave, he had 3 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Smith, gave him some love. 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Lathan Ransom, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. And JT Trumanbrawl, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. That was a huge night. As for Penn State, it wasn't much of a it was a little bit of a disappointment. Sean Clifford, despite the fact he went 35 of 52 for 361 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, Penn State still lost. Jahad Dodson, 11 catches, 127 yards. Parker Washington, 9 catches for 108 yards. That was it. Give credit to the Ohio State run game. They ran for over 161 yards to Penn State's 33. And despite the fact that Ohio State had 22 first downs, they still managed to get 466 yards of total offense. But Penn State, 3 costly turnovers at the end of the game. That is what hurt. Penn State turned the ball over 3 times late and 3 times in the game. That is why Ohio State came out the winner on Saturday night. But I'm going to be totally honest with you. This was a big win for Ohio State. The game would have been better had it not, some of the luster of that game was taken away after Penn State lost to Illinois the Saturday before. But still, Ohio State still had a battle in Columbus in the Horseshoe. It was a big win for the Buckeyes. We're still undefeated in the Big Ten. But now, our next concern, Michigan State here in a couple of weeks. If the Spartans stay like this, look out. The showdown between Ohio, because here's the thing that worries me if you're an Ohio State fan. You got Michigan State back to back to close the season. And there's a lot of concern. And I'm not going to lie. Am I concerned about Michigan State? You better believe I am. Coach Mel Tucker had those kids ready when they faced Michigan this past Saturday. So for all the Ohio State fans, is there concern? Absolutely. And I'm not going to lie to you. And speaking of Michigan and Michigan State, I need to talk about that game. This high noon kickoff was a classic. Michigan State came out on top over Michigan, 37-33. Peyton Thorne, he was 19 of 30 for 196 yards, but he was picked off twice. Kenneth Walker III, he gets the game ball this week. 23 carries, 197 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He gets a Scott Manning game ball this week. I've already decided. As for Michigan, Cade McNamara, he was 28 of 44 for 383 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Andrew Anthony, 6 catches, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns. David Ajabo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. I feel bad for him. Not. Aiden Hutchinson, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Michigan had a 30-14 lead, and they blew it. That's all they can say. They blew it. Jim Harbaugh is now 3-4 against Old Sparty. But I will give some credit to the Michigan State defense. Think about this for a second. Hassan Haskins. He had 602 yards rushing for the season, and he had been averaging 4.9 yards per rush. Against Michigan State, he had 59 yards rushing and 4.2 yards against Michigan State. Blake Crum. I figured he was going to have a big game. He had 729 rushing yards this season, and he been averaging 6.3 yards per rush. Against Michigan State, he had 45 yards rushing and 3.5, and he averaged 3.5 yards per rush against the Spartans. That was it. Between Haskins and Crum, they only had about 104 yards total rushing, just between the two of them. That was it. I expected those two to have a big game, but they held back. And think about this. Michigan, 20 first downs. They only had 395 yards total offense. Michigan had 552 yards total offense in the game, and they blew it. And on top of that, Michigan outdid Michigan State in the passing department, 406 to 196. That was it. Both teams had turnovers. Michigan State only had the ball for just a little over 25 minutes. But the credit goes to Coach Mel Tucker and the crowd at Spartan Stadium. The crowd there got the Spartans right back into the ball game. And yes, I'll say it again. Michigan's defense blew it. There was somebody, I saw another YouTube video. I saw another guy on YouTube talk about the game. Now, he's an Alabama fan. I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen the video. He said he made a good assumption. If Kenneth Walker can rush for over 100 yards in the remaining games of the season, Kenneth Walker the third, we could be talking about him being a Heisman Trophy candidate. And I got to agree with this guy. I don't remember his name. I just subscribed to his channel just today. But Kenneth Walker III, he had a tremendous game. 23 carries, 197 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now, I'm not going to expect him to score 5 touchdowns all the time. No, that ain't going to happen. Not any logical college football fan like myself is not going to expect one person to score 5 touchdowns every game. Not especially not a running back. But if Kenneth Walker III can keep rushing for over 100 yards every game the rest of the season, we could be talking about Kenneth Walker III being a Heisman Trophy candidate. That's something to think about. Gus Johnson, when he called that game for Fox last Saturday, he was like, Kenneth Walker III, I'll see you in New York. Now, Gus Johnson is the new Keith Jackson of college football play-by-play. Always has been. Always, that's the way it's going to be. All the way to the end. The game between Michigan and Michigan State was a classic. And that's all I got. That's all he can say. Literally. That's it. That's the truth. All right. Let's move on. Number 18 Auburn beat number 10 Ole Miss 31-20 on Saturday evening. Auburn's Bo Nix had a great night. 22 of 30 for 276 yards and a touchdown. He also had 6 carries for 30 yards and had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Tank Bigsby, a big night for him. 23 carries, 140 yards, and a touchdown. Jacoby McClain, a huge night for him in the defense department. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Smoke Monday, he was smoking. 1 sack and 2 tackles for loss, to be exact. As for Ole Miss, Matt Corral, he was 21 of 37 for 289 yards and an interception. He also carried the ball 10 times for 45 yards and had a touchdown on the ground. Snoop Connor, 10 carries, 47 yards, and a touchdown. Jahava Pearson, or Jahauer Pearson, 7 catches, 135 yards. But Sam Williams, I had him on my watch list. 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. And Tylan Knight, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Now, despite the fact that Auburn had 2 turnovers, they still won the game. And they had the ball for over 33 minutes. It was a huge night for Auburn. Now, Auburn, in my opinion, in the opinions of many, is the only team left that can compete with Alabama as far as the SEC West goes. Could it happen again? Could Auburn go? Can Auburn do it again Can Auburn do it again in their home turf and upset Alabama like they did 2 years ago? I think they can. Can Auburn be the team responsible for knocking Alabama right out of the college football playoff race and out of the SEC championship? I think they can do it. Bo Nix did it to him once. Bo Nix did it to him in Auburn 2 years ago. I can almost rest assured he can do it again. But we still got a ways to go. We still got a few weeks before we get there. And anything can happen between now and then. All right. Okay, everybody. The latest college football poll came out today. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, no change. Georgia 1, Cincinnati 2, Alabama 3, they had no game. Oklahoma, they were 4. And now 5 through 25, there's been some changes. Michigan State, a huge win over Michigan. They jumped 3 spots to number 5. Ohio State, despite their victory, I think they dropped because they didn't meet the spread. I think that's what happened. Ohio State dropped 1, and they're number 6 this week. Oregon, they stayed right where they were at number 7. Notre Dame, a huge weekend. They jumped up 3 spots from number 11 to number 8. Michigan, they dropped 3 spots to number 9. And I'm going to talk about the Maize and Blue in my closing thoughts here in a minute. Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons. They're supposed to be Harbaugh football. They're supposed to be an ACC basketball school. They jumped up 3 spots to number 10 this week. Way to go to the Demon Deacons. Number 11 this week, Oklahoma State. They jumped up 4 spots. Number 12 this week, Auburn. They jumped 6 spots. At number 13 this week, Texas A&M. They jumped up 1 spot. Baylor, a nice week this week. They jumped 2 spots to number 14. Coming in at number 15 this week, yikes, Ole Miss. They dropped 5 spots from number 10 to number 15. Coming in at number 16 this week, the University of Texas San Antonio. I think they're either out of Conference USA or out of the Sun Belt. They jumped 7 spots this week. Coming in at number 17 this week, BYU. They jumped 8 spots this week. Coming in at number 18 this week, Kentucky. A bad loss to Mississippi State put them in a bad way. Coming in at number 19 this week, Iowa. They dropped 10 spots. The loss to Wisconsin on the road, that hurt. Coming at number 20, Houston. The Houston Cougars. They were not ranked last week. Welcome back to the top 25. Coming in at number 21 this week, Coastal Carolina. They jumped up 3 spots. Coming in at number 22 this week, and kind of surprising, Penn State. They dropped 2 spots. Coming in at number 23 this week, SMU. They dropped 4 spots this week. And coming in at number 24, Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns are in the top 25 and welcome aboard. They were not ranked last week. And coming in at number 25 this week, Fresno State. They were not ranked. Welcome back to the Bulldogs. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for my closing thoughts. I've had some people approach me saying, Scott, If Jim Harbaugh loses to Ohio, if Michigan and Jim Harbaugh lose to Ohio State, are they going to be out? Is Harbaugh going to be out? You know, there are some folks in Ann Arbor, Michigan that are already calling for his job. They are calling for Harbaugh to be fired because Michigan, the Wolverines, are tired of losing to Ohio State every year. Here's the thing with Jim Harbaugh. He's 3-4 against Michigan State. He's had trouble against Notre Dame. And he has yet to beat Ohio State as a head coach. He's become the butt of the jokes when it comes to Ohio State fans. I got a Weiner shirt on. And there's fans that have made a t-shirt that said, Choke, the official soft drink of the University of Michigan when they play Ohio State. Or something along those lines. Harbaugh has struggled in the big games. He can't get the job done. And Michigan State fans have not forgotten what happened in Ann Arbor 6 years ago. That muff punt that cost Michigan the victory. That's what happened then. This past Saturday with Michigan State, that was a classic. Harbaugh, here's the thing. Michigan had a 30-14 lead. They were up by 16. Michigan got soft. This loss was totally on the Michigan defense, their defensive coordinators, and Jim Harbaugh. Here's the truth. Should Harbaugh be fired? People in Ann Arbor are calling for his job. But I'm going to make this prediction. If Jim Harbaugh loses and Michigan lose to Ohio State this year, and they lose their bowl game, you can almost guarantee that Jim Harbaugh is almost going to be on his way out. All the Ohio State fans, they love beating him. But I'm going to tell you this. Now, Ohio State fans, have your fun at Harbaugh's expense. But let's be realistic here. If Ohio State beats Michigan, and if Michigan loses their bowl game, or they don't win a Big Ten championship, Harbaugh's out the door. I mean, the University of Michigan, they're more forgiving than Ohio State is. And that's the truth. So, I'm going to say it now. If Ohio State beats Michigan, Harbaugh's almost out. You can almost guarantee Harbaugh's going to be out the door. And that's the truth on this night. Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here tonight. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Scott Manning. All you have to do is type my name, scroll down, look for this pretty face, click subscribe, and you'll see all the sports videos I have done so far. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here on this night. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. Good night, everybody, and I thank you.